All right, hopefully this at least works. Looks like the camera's on. I could not, shockingly, figure out how to go live for the live stream. Maybe between matches I'll be able to figure that out. We'll see. But in the meantime, got some Ian Terry very near the finals of a big time backgammon tournament. Want to, before we even get into it, give a big shout out to Backgammon Galaxy, who's streaming this, who I hope is okay with me using their stream to relay this to the reality TV world that knows Ian in an entirely different context than the backgammon world will. We have on the call, it looks like, from left to right here in this middle box, Chris Trencher, Bill Riles, and Carter Mattig. And I actually did yesterday this very same thing with one of Ian's previous matches in this tournament against Carter. His opponent was Carter. So the situation is this: they these is right now. Ian is one of the last two players remaining in the field who has only lost once. And the way the tournament works is you can lose four times before you're out, but you can't win the championship with more than two losses. So these two guys are going to be the last. They're playing right now to figure out who's going to be the last one left that only has one loss. And then a couple other matches will take place. And then hopefully, uh, Ian will be playing for the championship pretty soon. His opponent right now is, it's Bill Phipps, I want to say. Bill Phipps, who very strong player. Watched him play against Ian actually earlier today. And should be some good stuff. Ian, I think, has made it to similar stages of other tournaments before, but I don't think has closed one out of this caliber. So this would be very, very exciting stuff, on par with trouncing Dan Giesling in a final vote. I wonder if Dan would love backgammon, is my guess, if he got into it, as would many people if they got into it, but that's a big if. So I'm going to try to do this video from the perspective more of people who just want to follow along with Ian far into this tournament who aren't necessarily huge backgammon players themselves. They're playing a match to first one to get 9 points wins. And at the beginning of each game is worth 1 point. But the way backgammon works, there are multipliers, one of which we're seeing right now. It looks like this actually may be a very quick 0 to 1, not in Ian's favor. So what that is, that's called the doubling cube. It's one of the greatest inventions in the history of games and gambling in general. If a person thinks that they have a big advantage or a reasonable enough advantage to want to double the stakes, and hey, now if we keep playing, it's now worth two, then the game is worth two. And if not, the opponent has to just lose right on the spot for the single point. And then there are other ways of getting multipliers as well. So first to nine does not by any means mean first you have to win nine separate games. The multipliers are going to be a very big deal. Ian's playing the black pieces, and the way this works is he is, in a perfect world, going to get these guys all the way around. He comes around counterclockwise down into this quadrant, which is called his home board. And once he has all 15 of his checkers in his home board, he can start peeling them off based on whatever numbers he rolls. And that more generally is how backgammon works, is you roll two dice, and with the exception of doubles, which we can see he has rolled here, you move a checker for each of the numbers that you roll, or you can move the same checker both numbers if you're so inclined. But right now, we're still very early into this. But the way backgammon works, I mean, we could see games be worth 2, 4, 8, who knows? So it could go quickly, or it could be a little bit. But I wanted to do a stream for people not super into backgammon who would like to see Ian in his new sort of gaming comfort zone. He has been tremendously impressive, his progress through the backgammon world. I don't think that's a huge surprise to most people familiar with him in general. I've got my iced coffee. I've got two bottles of water. And so we can see they're, once again, as I'm trying to illustrate how the game works, they keep rolling doubles, which are the one exception to the rule. When you roll doubles, you actually move them each twice. And so the yellow checkers, incidentally, are coming from this direction around this way, clockwise. And once yellow gets all 15 in their home board, which is up here, yellow will then start doing what is called bearing off. We're still a long ways from that in both cases. And some other things that I guess I should clarify up front. First of all, one thing that's very useful in backgammon is having what's called an anchor in your opponent's home board, and that's what yellow has a nice anchor here, an advanced anchor, far quite a ways up in Ian's home board, and that's really really good for defensive purposes. And meanwhile, Ian is he has escaped one of his back checkers, but this other one is still caught here behind what is called a prime. Which is a bunch of points in a row, which is a very strong position and a tactical priority is forming a prime. So, for instance, if Ian could somehow find a way to fill this point, like roll double sixes and move these two down to here, that would be what's called a five prime, 5 points in a row. So, let's see though, what does he have? He has a 4-3, a bit awkward, and now any combination on his opponent's turn, like his opponent rolling some combination of 2, 3, and 4, would be bad news because that would give his opponent the full six prime, and we might now see the doubling cube offered. There it is. So what his opponent's saying is, we're now playing for double stakes, or you can just drop 1 point right now. Ian takes the cube, and it's very often the case that it's correct for one person to want to double, but the other person still has so much equity that they should also want to take. And so now this game is worth 2. And when Ian's opponent, Bill, was the one to offer the cube in the first place, we can now see the cube go from the middle down to Ian's side of the board. And if the tables turn, which they easily could, Ian can then recube down the line and say, okay, things have shifted into my favor, and now we're playing for 4. Or you can drop for the 2 that we're currently playing for. So a lot of excitement with the cube and the multipliers in general. More on that later as it becomes relevant. Where are the dice? What's happening? Oh, he hasn't rolled yet. He's thinking about the recube already. He escaped. I don't know. One thing that's very important to be mindful of is what's called the race. And that's what Ian is counting right now. The race is how many like total dice points, which are called pips, you would need to roll in order to like get all your pieces off perfectly. It's not the only thing that matters, but it's a very important thing. And now Ian, having successfully escaped this guy, which was a sequence of rolls that I embarrassingly missed, but job well done by him on the rolling front. He's now wondering, hey, all my guys are free, and you have 2 trapped behind here. If he's up in the race in that sort of position, it could be a really good time to send the 4 cube the other way. But he does roll a 5-3. He continues making points in what's called his home board. He would like to get this guy safe, but the 5-3 would bring it down to the only open spot. And the way backgammon works, if you have 2 or more pieces on a point, which are these long, sharp triangles, it's called a point. If you have 2 or more of your pieces, they can't be hit, and your opponent can't land on that spot. They can't even use it if their total is enough. So for instance, like if yellow rolled 4-1, technically, or excuse me, a 5-1 or a 4-1, but 5-1's a better example. He could move 6 spaces to here, but both the 5 and the 1 are blocked, so you actually couldn't. It's not a total thing. You have to be able to move the dice or the pieces, the checkers individually in the event that you want to move one of them both numbers. So I'm guessing Ian has deduced that the race was not favorable enough for him to send the cube, and that's perhaps going to change it. So he's playing 4 4s now because doubles you play twice each. And I think now the 4 cube is pretty likely to come on this next turn. Maybe not. I don't want to be a chicken counter, but we'll see. I couldn't figure. I think I said this at the top. I was trying to go live. I couldn't figure it out. I'm very new to the software. I'm sorry that this is in 720p. The good news. Let me move my. I'm now looking at this for the first time. I'm kind of blocking over the commentary booth, but there may come a time where I unmute my desktop. Hopefully that works, and we can hear in closer spots what the much smarter players than I have to say. But I wanted to do something for anyone who might be. Ian looks asleep right now. Not ideal. I wanted to do something for the newer players or those who are just totally unfamiliar with backgammon, to be able to watch Ian. I'll be rooting for Ian. Maybe you're rooting against him. I don't know. Double threes is a good one, and I'll be quite surprised now if he doesn't find the recube soon and offer to play this for four, or that'll be that. Maybe not though. Oh, the six is forced to come out. If you have a legal option, there's the four cube. That's gonna, I think, be the end of this one. Maybe not. I mean, Bill's thinking about it, and Bill knows way, way, way more about backgammon than I will ever know, in all likelihood. I'll be happy if I ever know as much, even close to as much, as either of these guys. But this is a very favorable situation for Ian, long story short. He had some precariousness early, but found his way out of it and is looking good to either go up 2-1 in the event that Bill declines this cube, or he'll play on at a pretty big advantage with the opportunity to go up 4-1. We'll see what happens. I would have thought that this was a pass, but I'm guessing, I mean, the race is probably closer than I'm giving it credit for, because the threat is pretty real here that if yellow accepts this cube and plays on for four, and Ian rolls some combination of numbers of 1, 2, and 4, and then just can make a point here and hit the guy, which would then send him up to what's called the bar, where he has to re-enter in Ian's home board. I mean, that would be just disaster for yellow. And it seems like Bill thought it through, but arrived at the same conclusion. So now Ian's up 2-1, even though they've both only won one game. The game that Ian won was worth more because the cube did get turned and accepted early on. Let me just post. Well, I'll follow it up later. I sent out a tweet saying, "Hey, maybe I'll be able to live stream this, and if so, I'll post a link." Womp womp. Shockingly, I was not able to figure it out. But okay, Ian now up 2-1 in this match to 9. I got to do a better job at looking at the camera. I got to resize this window or something. I'm not doing strong work in the technique of broadcast department. But okay, so a pretty exciting opening already. There have been a lot of hits, and I hope you've been able to see that when a checker gets hit, when it's just by itself, it goes back up to this, it sits on the middle, like this black one is right now. And now Ian has to roll into this home board. If he rolls a 1, that's this point, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And similarly, and so you have to enter on one of the numbers that you roll. So if he'd rolled a 2 there, he could have come in on the 2 and hit that loose checker on the 2. He didn't. But similarly, if you make a bunch of points in your own home board, that makes it just harder for your opponent to re-enter when they do get sent to the bar. And that's like one of the most fundamental things to know about backgammon, is having a really good home board is a big, big, big priority. Although in this case, it's not appearing that way just yet. But we will definitely see games where having a really strong home board will swing a lot. So he makes the best point one can make in most situations, including this one. That's his 5 point. These two black checkers that just came here, you start automatically with your 6 point, and now he's made his 5 point. And so now if yellow is put back on the bar later and yellow rolls like a 6-5 or double sixes or double fives, you have to re-enter both of your checkers, or you have to re-enter any checkers on the bar before you can do anything else. And being unable to enter because you rolled numbers that are blocked is really, really, really bad. And that's why having a home board with lots of the numbers blocked is really, really good. But this is a back and forth sort of start. Ian definitely a slight favorite at this point, just given how many yellow checkers are left to try to find their way around and escape. Maybe considering a double, it doesn't look like it. The other kind of like beautiful thing about backgammon is if you have a bunch of, like, if yellow were to link these two up and make a second point in Ian's home board, as long as you have 2 points in your opponent's home board, you're like there. It's tough for them to get all the way around and have it just be totally smooth sailing. Like, you will eventually, in all likelihood, have to leave them a shot, and they can get right back in it. So there's very much something to be said in certain cases for having it, like, if you're going to be losing the race, you want to be losing by like a lot and having opportunities to make multiple home board points in your opponent's home board that they'll have a hard time getting all 15 of their pieces into their home board before they can start bearing off. And then even when they're bearing off, it's going to be tough for them to do so without leaving a shot somewhere along the way. So really, really beautiful game. I'm sure I'm leaving out a ton of vital things, but I think in this context, we'll just kind of take it as it comes. And actually, just briefly, I'm going to adjust the playback to 1.25 because I'm slightly behind live. But after it catches up, we will then be live in real time. I paused it briefly, hoping I could get a live stream setup, but failed at that. And now Ian, the black pieces, has to leave a shot. He makes a really valuable point here in priming back his opponent, but leaves this guy vulnerable. So had yellow rolled a 1, he could have hit there, and Ian would be faced with rolling into a strong home board, but yellow didn't roll a 1. And now we're about to see, this is the double anchor in effect. So Ian, with a strong position, and he's going to cube it. Now that the double anchor is gone, those double fours were actually kind of, in a certain way, bad for yellow, even though they do make another valuable point. Black will now have an easier time navigating the smooth sail to freedom than if both of these points were occupied by yellow. So the idea here in Ian's mind is, let's get these to safety. Let's eventually start getting the others to safety. He has a pretty flexible looking structure right now. And hopefully bear off clean. The cube is taken. So here we go. We're going to find out if he can navigate smoothly. That's a safe number right there. You can see he is able to free up both from the back onto pre-existing safe points. And if things go smoothly here for Ian, he's way, way ahead in the race. I shouldn't say that. I'm bad at counting races. He is way, way ahead in the race, but I need to be less confident in saying that. One of the things I've learned in watching just this tournament over the weekend and streaming some of it, which you can find on this very ooh, double twos is interesting. So he could take these two and kill here and make this point and lock in the 5 prime, but this guy's still vulnerable. Yellow would have a checker on the bar, and if yellow then rolled a 1, it could re-enter on the 1 and kill Ian. And then this is an intimidating looking home board on the yellow side. Ian does not want to get hit at any point in this game right now, because doing so would mean he could not re-enter with a 6, a 5, a 4, a 3, or a 2. He would have to roll a 1 to re-enter. Oh, okay. There was actually a way of playing that covers it that I overlooked. Okay, just all the way from the back. So now he does send yellow to the roof again, to the bar, while covering his own, what's called a blot. One checker by itself is called a blot, a vulnerable piece. And now Ian does have some awkward rolls here on his next roll. And again, the cube did get turned and accepted, so this game is now worth 2 as well. And then there's a slight possibility, if Ian rolls some really good numbers here, we could see another, that's a good number, we could see another version of multipliers where if you get all 15 of your pieces off, before your opponent gets any of theirs off. And we can see Bill rolled a 6-2, and now Ian did as well. But the 6 is blocked and the 2 is blocked, so Bill can't do anything until he re enters this checker. Ian has what's called a 4-point home board. He owns 4 of the points, which means yellow needs to roll a 3 or a 4 to come back in. What to do with the 6-2? He has to play the 6 from back here. These are the only checkers that can move 6. Playing the yellow 1-6 would leave it here, but then he wouldn't be able to cover it. Whereas playing this 1-6 would put it there, and he could then safety that one. But there's more to life than immediate safety, and that's a key concept in backgammon, and one thing you just get used to. Okay, he does go for the immediate safety play. So far, it's not the play doesn't get submitted until you hit the clock, which we can see here on the right, and he submits it, and there it goes. A little awkward, perhaps. He would love to roll like double threes or 6-3. And crucially, both checkers need to be flat for them to count. They can't be askew or cocked or however you want to frame it. 3 and 5, that looks reasonable to me. And now Ian has to sweat a 3-6 or a 4-5. Okay, 4-6. This guy was vulnerable, and if yellow had rolled a 3-6 or a 4-5, Ian would then have the tables turned on him in a major way, and he would have to re-enter all the way back from the start by rolling specifically a 1. But here we go. Let's see if Ian can bear this off cleanly. I said checkers have to be flat, and being flat on top of, or dice have to be flat, rather. And it is, as long as it's flat on top of a checker. That was a rule change a long time ago at this point. But when I first got into backgammon, if a die landed, dice, this is for reality fans. If a die landed on top of a checker, it was just automatic reroll, but it wasted so much time because it happens so often that if it lands flat on top of a checker, it's legit and you play it. So Ian would love to just not have any more contact in this game, not leave any shots even as a possibility. And he does have a pretty flexible looking board here to do that. I'll let you know as the situation develops in terms of any bad rolls. We're kind of anti-sweating. Double sixes is not one of them. But on his next roll, unless Bill rolls a 6 and is forced to move that back one, he doesn't. Oh, he does move it, though. I'm an idiot. Okay, because he's trying to avoid what's called a gammon. Oh, baby. Ian has a gammon sweat where if you get all 15 of your pieces off before your opponent gets any off, it's a gammon. So big doubles and then a 2-1 for yellow. 2-1 for yellow, please. And then, okay. Ian is going to win another 2 points there, though, and he's now up 4-1 in this match to 9. Even though, again, they've only played 3 games, and Ian's won 2 of the 3 games, but he's up 4 points to 1 because the cube was turned in both of them. So I hope that anyone new to backgammon can kind of follow what I'm saying. And if not, I mean, we've got to be getting close to catching up with the live element. I mean, obviously, I'm unspoiled on this. It's happening. They're like a couple minutes ahead of us right now, but I don't know what's going to happen. Double sixes. There are a lot of times where double sixes is an excellent roll, especially early on into a game, but this is actually super uncomfortable for black. I would guess they're going to bring 2 down and make this bar point, but that's the other 2 I was thinking is kill and cover. Oh, double kill. And now Ian, if he rolls a 5 or a 1, will kill. This is huge. 1-5, please, to kill both. 5 is good. 5-4. And now yellow's back on the bar, but has plenty of return shots. It's going to be hard. Yeah. Yellow makes the advanced anchor. And now does Ian want a cube? No. No, it appears. He's thinking about it, maybe. No. He shakes his head. So he hits again. And now yellow with another opportunity to make like a double anchor, perhaps, in Ian's home board. and make it kind of awkward. And now the other consideration is when you're playing to 9, if you're way ahead in that match to 9, things change as far as the cube goes. I am not an expert in that sort of thing at all, but Ian, it's probably not a huge deal with this match score, but if Ian were up like 6-1 or something, he would be a lot more incentivized to not turn the cube, even if under normal circumstances it'd be an easy double, because simply opening the door for things to go wrong and have the multipliers get out of hand and then the match becomes really close again pretty quickly is disastrous. So we see Ian rolling pretty well so far. A 5 would hit him here. 5 would hit, double sixes would hit, neither in the cup for Bill at this point. But Bill, had he rolled a 5, could have played 5 this way and hit. Bill, again, I hope it's clear by now, going clockwise from the bottom right all the way around to the top right. Ian going counterclockwise from the top right all the way around to the bottom right. And double ones, I guess just plays safe, yeah. There it is. Double ones again. Covers and bumps up. Fair enough. I hope over the course of watching this, the checker movements become more intuitive to people than they would be based on my bad explanations. Let's see. Let's see who's favoriting my tweet about how perhaps there will be a live stream of this, only to be disappointed. But I will post these hopefully very quickly after, and people can follow along. Incident, I want to give, I rushed over this earlier. Big time shout out to Backgammon Galaxy, which is an excellent backgammon site you can play on. Not a paid promotion by me. They have no idea who I am and probably won't ever, unless they get mad at me for doing this. And that's how they find out who I am. The Backgammon Galaxy, everyone who plays backgammon knows about Backgammon Galaxy. I love what Mark Olson does, who's I don't know if he's a founder or what, but he's heavily featured world class grandmaster player. Does a lot of really good backgammon content, and at least a Backgammon Galaxy spokesman. So Ian does offer the cube eventually, and does get it through again. I'm sure a fine drop by Bill, and now Ian's up 5-1. He has been rolling really well. I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you. Rolling really well is a strong thing to have going in your favor in backgammon. Oh, and I now realize I can look at the chat going of those watching the real backgammon player stream in real time, and I can see their ideas, and hopefully in close situations see what like actually world class players have to say about the position. So yellow back on the roof has to come in on the 3 because the 5 is blocked. So he comes in on the 3 and then plays 5 down. Ian with a 5-1, not his best roll. Maybe just hits. Does it just hit from this guy goes 6 spaces there? No. Safety there. Hmm? Could just play the 1 to safety and find a different 5 to play. Good hit. It looks like he's thinking about the hit. Does go for the hit. Fair enough. So a 3 would kill Ian and be bad for us. Double 5s, though, can't do anything. Because this 5 point is blocked. And you can't do anything until you get all your guys off the bar. So Ian now gets basically 2 turns in a row, which is very useful. He's able to cover that blot, that guy who was by himself. And now it is just another locked in homeboard point for him. 1-6, a bad roll for yellow. Bad roll. Is Ian really thinking about a double again here? Up 5-1. If he doubles and then finds his way to a gammon. Oh no, yellow hadn't hit the clock yet. But now it does look like he's thinking about it. We can see Ian deep in thought there. He wants to do it. Under normal circumstances, I would imagine this is an easy cube. But because he doesn't want to open the door for things to add up quickly. If they go poorly for him, he holds. Maybe it's not even an easy cube. I'm not 100% sure. But I would think that under a lot of circumstances, it would be at least nearing cube territory. 6-6, another unfriendly 6-6. And let's see if Ian can find a kill here. He does, and he finds the bar point, perhaps. Is there a reason to make the bar point right now? With the bar point is the one right next to the bar. He has a 6 point, and then whoop, I press pause. 6 point, and then the bar point is the one next to that. Did I pause it or okay? Sorry. And 5-3 fans. It's called fanning or dancing when you can't re-enter because Ian has the 6, the 5, and the 3 blocked when yellow is trying to re-enter from the bar in the form of here's 6 blocked, 5 blocked, 3 blocked. And now does he want to think about the cube where if he were to get a good roll here and like make this 4 point, it'd be really tough. And he does get a good roll. Not the best roll, because now 1-6, 2-5, and 2-6 are all going to return fire. Only 2-6. So you see right there, the game can swing pretty quickly. And now Ian, I'm sure, is happy to have not offered the cube at this point. And that's why you want to err a little more conservatively when you're significantly ahead in the match. Well, so that's no good. Even though it landed flat, it's got to be on the field of play rather than outside the board. Even so, these are the spaces where when they start pulling checkers off, they would theoretically be putting them in there. So it's no good if it lands in there or if it lands outside the board. But on top of a checker is okay, as long as it's flat. And now yellow might cube, and I don't know if this is a take or a pass from Ian's perspective. So the situation is, does he want to just fold right now, basically, and lose the 1 point without contest? It looks like the chat is saying drop, as in don't take the cube. Ian's thinking about it. We're rapidly approaching live, so he's still thinking about it. At the point, I guess we can fast forward. This is a spot to fast forward. Ian does pass. And now have I fast forwarded too much? I'm going to just click the live button and some. Okay, they're resetting the next game, so it's 5-2, and we play another one. So Ian could theoretically end this in one game if the cube gets turned and he gets a gammon at the same time. That's worth 4. Double for the cube and double for the gammon means 4x total. And 4 would be enough to win this match to 9. So risky start here for Ian, but if it goes smoothly, if he can avoid getting hit here, this is the play I would make. I don't know if it's definitely right. Let's see, no 5, no loose hits. There it is. Okay. Now something like a 6-1, 6-3, 6-6 would be super money. Double 4 is quite good. Double 4 is going to cover there, and then he has 2 more 4s to play. Probably 4, the 2 more down from here would be my guess, and make this point, which is called the 9 point. Oh, he's going to escape this back checker. Fair enough. Fair enough. And no 4. Ah, that's a 4. So he gets hit and now has to try to work back out around this impending kind of prime from his opponent. So he's going to come in on the 5 and then play 2 down to make that. And now hope to see not low numbers here. And low numbers would oh boy, double 3s. So really would love a 4-4 or a 4-5, a 2-6 also reasonable. 4-1. You come in on the 1 instead, because the 4, if you come in on the 4, that's for sure the 1. And I think this is what I would play. All right, don't get pointed on, Ian. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he got pointed on. Now let's roll a 7, but not a 3-4. 2-5 or a 6. 2-5. How about that? How about a little 2-5? Schwa, I believe. is the term for a well-timed seven, if memory serves. Now a one would be big. He does find the one. He hits again. There it goes. I think. I don't. Maybe he wants to. This is the question. Does he want to hit and come down, or he could have made this bar point with six down here and one from here and close that off? But I think this is right. And so now to once again return to a fundamental concept, yellow has a very strong home board, so Ian's going to be nervous about any time he has to potentially leave shots that would threaten getting hit and then having to come in behind that. 4-1 is a very strong roll. Points on the blot on his own 4 point and establishes it for himself. Two, and then the six is going to come out, not often going to survive coming out, but you can't play anything else, I don't think. And now does Ian try to get a cube going again? The chat's talking about it. And the chat's also talking about it feels like Ian has momentum, if that is such a thing, says Paul Strasberg in the chat. And that's how I felt watching Ian this whole tournament. He does send the cube, and that's a pass. Okay. I see David Wells in the chat, who I know is a very good player, not the former Major League Baseball pitcher, if I quite a career turnaround. If David Wells, the MLB pitcher, I'm sorry to David Wells, for who's I'm sure spent decades hearing about the other David Wells, but this David Wells, a world class backgammon player, from what I believe I have seen. So I'm going to trust him to know what's happening more so than I trust myself. And he says it's a double and a pass, and perhaps almost too good to double, which is a really interesting concept, where at a certain point you can have your opponent by such a stranglehold that offering the cube is actually kind of letting them off the hook. And like, if you were to just play on, you would gammon them often enough that it's worth it to try to get double points that way rather than letting them off the hook for a single point. Wow. And we can see an early kid, and this is the byproduct of being way down in the match. Ian rolled double sixes and couldn't re-enter. It's going to be a take. But many, many double hit numbers. I don't think that's one of them. I don't see how that's sending two checkers on the roof, but Ian has one on the roof. That's got to be one of the worst rolls for yellow to return to the aforementioned momentum. It seems like Ian has been. I guess you can hit from from 6 to 1. You can use the 5 to hit here, but I don't know if you love doing that. You can make this point, this 9 point. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the bar is the 7 point, and then 8, 9. He doesn't do that. He does go for 6-1 double hit. Having your opponent with two checkers on the bar is huge, because unless they roll doubles, they have to use their whole turn, best case scenario, re-entering and not being able to advance anything else. So double fours is going to kill, I assume, yeah, kill and make the point there, and then cover. And now Ian really would like to see a 3, a 5, something not there. So the total of 5 is no good because the 4 and the 1 are both blocked. 4-2 is going to put more on the roof here. Oh boy, we could be. There we go. Had to make that anchor. Very, very big time anchor, because now with the cube turned, if Ian were to get like closed out here, yellow would be able to just pretty freely come around and in all likelihood get all their pieces off before Ian is anywhere near getting a single piece off, and then we'd be looking at 6-6. And that's not ideal when you're up 6-2. I'm going to try to not be. I got to move this window around somehow. I've been noticing I'm looking like too sideways. Let me hmm. Hmm. Maybe I can just. Oh, that's why I had it like that, because it affects it on the stream as well. Well, whatever. We'll persevere for at least right now. Okay. While I was doing that, something Ian re-entered and hit, and now yellow is looking a lot less gammonish, which is a good sign for us. What we do not want to see happen is yellow take all their pieces off before Ian gets any off. What we do want to see happen is black somehow turn the game around and they do that. And then if Ian were to somehow do that, that would just be the end of the match because a cube gammon is worth 4, and you only need 9 points to win this match. Ian already has 6, so 10 would be plenty. 10 would be overkill, if anything. Does he want to kill on the 4 point? I think not. I think it's just too risky with this strong of a home board for yellow. And when you have a really strong home board, it forces your opponent to play a lot more cautiously because the threat of having to re-enter into a strong home board is indeed a very real one and a dangerous one. And not the kind of dangerous fun that we've come to know in the reality world. Although I guess kind of like that because it's not really fun. Okay. So Ian has the anchor, yellow has the much better home board. But yellow is going to have to leave some shots here no matter what. And it looks like Ian is going to get a double hit. Double hit, 4 there, and then 2 down is the double hit. Huge, huge stuff. And now double sixes to fan. Nope, just 1 6, but that's fine. Let's see what we get. The 4 is big to solidify that point and drastically reduce the threat of Ian being gammoned, which is huge. When you're up 6-2 and the cube is turned, not getting gammoned is a high priority. 6-1's going to make the 5 point. Very nice roll. And I would imagine Ian's now a favorite in this game. 5-2 for yellow. Excuse me. 5-2 for yellow is interesting and tough. You definitely don't want to break this anchor. This anchor is a huge defensive point that were you to break it, Ian could then potentially come crashing down on these blots and find his way to a gammon of his own that would end the match. He does play it, but he's running out, yellow's running out of time here. Yellow does not want to have to just move all these points around in his home board, move all those checkers around. He wants to be able to get some running going. 6-3 is ugly, but I think that's right. You have to leave some shots. And this, oh, that 3 could be interesting as well. That might be it. So we're looking to not see an 8, and double 4s are no good. An 8 and 11 are bad. Okay, safe. Safe stuff. Double 1s is nice. He's finds that kill, safety, and then flexibility as he tries to make some homeboard points. And even though he has these 2 guys who are loose, there are no numbers. Oh, I guess I shouldn't say that. Double 4s could kill, but it doesn't. Not to be found. I almost jinxed it. And now Ian definitely has a commanding advantage, but there's not a ton of incentive right now to turn the cube. I think, I mean, commanding in relative terms in backgammon. What's so glorious and beautiful about this game is it's often difficult for a position to just be a hammer locker, for anyone to often be over like a crushing favorite. A lot of the times when the cube gets turned, it's like one person is 66-33 or whatever to win. And then 6 down. I think the other thing he's considering is just making the 2 point in his own home board. Or he's considering the hit, of course. I'm not. What am I looking at? He's considering the hit, but I don't think it makes. He's counting the race, which I'm not going to be able to do in a position this uh not this asymmetrical. If they have very similar looking positions, it's a lot easier to count the race because you can just count the ones that aren't the same on opposite sides. But this is more than I can do. I don't think hitting makes a ton of sense. You got to respect the 5 point home board that yellow has here, but maybe it's a hit. But they like when you hit in this spot, you're not really threatening a whole lot. And plus, yellow is going to move this guy around anyway. Okay, the race has got to be close if Bill's making that play. If not, I mean, Bill almost has to be ahead in the race. Maybe. I got to stop saying things with confidence about this situation. So 6-1. He's just going to, since there's no more guys on this side to worry about from yellow, make the more flexible play. He does not want to leave yellow a shot on either of these if he can help it. Yellow's going to swing that guy around. Okay. 5-1, similar. Cover those home board points just in case there's more contact. A little more flexibility in case we get to a bear off situation soon and end, pulling the pieces off. And both of them kind of tangoing here. These 2 points, this point for the black pieces and this point for the yellow pieces. Who's going to be able to escape freely? Does Ian want to make it a race? Is the question. I wonder now that sixes are forced. If yellow were to roll a six, he would have to move it from here. So 6-1, 6-2, or 6-3 would guarantee Ian a shot. And with that in mind, he's going to make the home board point. Let's see a 6-1, 6-2, 6-3. Do it. Ah, 5-3. Cannot get both to safety for yellow, meaning these two. So basically has to play that five, and then that three seems reasonable. How about double sixes for the kid? So that's going to definitely be the six. And now Ian might be hoisted by his own petard here in certain timelines. Unlikely. But he might be the one who has to leave an awkward six. 5-1. What are you going to do? Break the home board? Yes, as it turns out. Don't want to be opening the door for Ian to gammon him. Fair enough. All right. Big, big doubles. Not quite. I think he probably does want to leave this. I was wondering if he wanted to leave it there to avoid having forced awkward sixes. How about 6-1, 6-2, 6-3? 5-1. He's going to break it. He's going to leave Ian a shot. A shot here is massive. Let's see a three, kids. Come on. You got a three in there. You got a three in there. Ah, the race is on. Big, big, big race incoming. So there's no more contact. All the pieces have passed each other now. It's now just a roll high numbers contest. I'm not sure how close the race is. Let's see if someone in the chat. Fill me. The nuts. The nuts. Double sixes. He's not going to gammon him, but that's the perfect roll. He gets to move four pieces, six, which means pulling them off. Oh, Ian, neither of them is using the designated pull your pieces off area, which is fine. It's totally standard. I don't often use it either, but it does make it confusing for new viewers, I would guess. But they're now Ian is pulling some pieces off. You can see them right down here. He was able to pull off four of his pieces, and now he's thinking about the recube. And what he's thinking is, if I'm up 8-2 at the end of this, I'm a huge, huge favorite to win the match. Or if I were to double now and just win this race, I could just end it right there. But the downside, of course, is if he were to double now and Bill were to take, and then Bill were to get really lucky and roll a bunch of high numbers himself, which is very possible, then it would be 6-6, which is not ideal. He's doing a lot of math that I don't know right now. What's called a take point is definitely going to be very low for Bill, because if Ian were to double and Bill were to drop, he would just be down 8-2 anyway, where all things being equal, he's probably like maybe 15-ish% to be able to come back from that. So he only needs to have 15-ish, I'm going to ballpark that, percent equity to win a race to just take the cube. Let's see the high numbers coming. Twos are bad for Ian because he has no pieces he can pull from the two. You have to roll either the exact number or higher. If he rolls a six or a five, he doesn't just get screwed because he has no pieces there. He always pulls from the back. Now he's going to count again. It looks like Ian has six off. I mean, I guess we could just see that he has nine on. With these six down here. Thankfully, he's doing it in a very stream friendly way. Bill has three off. He does send it. Okay, we'll see if the take point's there. It's not. It's not. So now Ian is up 8-2. And in this situation, you may be saying to yourself, if you're a particularly sharp new backgammon player, oh no, they have had some issues with the streams going down. You may be saying to yourself, oh no, not this. I'm simultaneously holding two thoughts here. I just don't want the stream to die. You may be saying to yourself, nope, 8-2, and they're going to flip that to Crawford. Because a sharp backgammon player might note, hey, if Ian's only 1 point away from winning anyway, why wouldn't Bill just immediately turn the cube and let them and force him to play for two? Because it doesn't matter if Ian wins two, but it matters a lot if I win two. And that is what the Crawford game is all about. Many decades ago, this was not a thing, but now when someone is 1 point away from winning the whole match, the cube is off the table for both players for just one. Just the immediate next game is called the Crawford game, named after some backgammon player named Crawford who coined this being a thing. And it makes a lot of sense. Shout out Crawford. Because yellow would have just no incentive not to turn the cube, very little incentive not to turn the cube straight away every time. So this is the Crawford game, but if yellow is able to win this Crawford game, then we are at the point where yellow can start turning the cube immediately. Because you shouldn't be penalized. You shouldn't have to play everything for 1 point, but there's also the rest of the way, just because your opponent's only one away. But there should definitely also be some sort of reverse incentive the other way. And so this is a very balanced, fair and balanced way of getting around both sides of that. And that is going to cover and kill. Ian looking good. Let's see a fan, not quite, but let's see a 3-1, double one, some sort of hit, and let's just make this an easy one. 6-2 is a hit. Let's see no 5. No 5. No 5. Don't do it. Well, he does have return shots. And yes, it is, as you can see here, very possible for both people to have a checker on the bar at the same time. And he's going to play down. He's going to try to close out the board. He's leaving some shots, but he's going to play it down and try to close them out. Oh, no. Not good. Double fives is going to come in and do more. Oh, and now Ian has blots all over the place. Uh-oh. We'll see what happens. I think it's probably killing on the 1. And then the last one comes down from what's called 13-8. This is the 13 point. This is the 8 point for yellow. There it goes. Because we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from right to left, and then 7, 8. And then all the way around, this is 13. All the way down to 24 from yellow's perspective, which is Ian's 1. Ian's 1 point is yellow's 24 point. Ian's 2 point is yellow's 23. His 3 is yellow's 22. So they all add up to 25. All the opposite kind of complementary points. Oh boy. So Ian not out of the woods just yet by any means. Not at all. 2-1. Now he has a double anchor going, but he's going to have to do some running soon. And I do wonder if maybe just splitting 23 to 22 as he does is the right idea. Try to see some daylight on now opening the door to roll a 6 and be able to jump this guy around. This guy could go 6 to here. Because he really doesn't want to break this anchor. I don't think. But he does want to escape. How about a 6-5? I think he might want to... He's going to make the homeboard point, which might be dead right. I do wonder if he wants to get one of these guys a look. but maybe not. Double twos could come down and make this point, the 9 point, or it could come in and make the 4 point, which it looks like is what he's going to do for yellow, for Bill. And I'm so, okay, 6-5 is going to come out and around. Pretty good shot for Ian, although he is still way down in the race. And I'm sure if Bill could cube, he would have done so already, but because we're in the Crawford game, he can't because he's way ahead in the race. Pretty flexible position. 4 and then 1 up. Tries to get a look at this, I think. He's thinking about it. Maybe he plays 6-5. Let's see what the chat's saying. Nothing on this particular move. But I should continue to try to be mindful of that. I should be mindful of the fact that I'm on camera as well and not keep looking down like this the whole time and looking at you like this the whole time. I should speak up. I should sit up straight. I don't know how likely any of these things are to happen. I do need to center the board more. Does this do it? Oh, I'm a fool. I could have just been doing this the whole time and at least look semi-straight. No, instead of down and at an angle. Okay. Hopefully in future videos I'll have that figured out. But still, so while this game is not looking promising for Ian, certainly still a promising lead. He only needs one more point to win the whole match, which is by no means a guarantee. Don't get me wrong. But as long as he can avoid getting gammoned here, which it seems like he will hopefully be able to do. Oh, I mistook. I didn't realize yellow has a loose blot here, which maybe under different circumstances there could be something cool to be done with, but I don't see how Ian can really exploit that in this situation. I would for sure be playing this too. Yeah, okay. And Ian is in all likelihood thinking, how do I avoid getting gammoned? That does open up a little awkwardness, but just avoiding getting gammoned is pretty key in general in spots like this where you're, ooh, he can't, yep. Another 6-2 would be forced to leave a shot. So we'd love to see yellow roll another 6-2. And now Ian will not, in all likelihood, get gammon too often here. 6-2 one more time. Let's see it. Oh, got my hopes up. 4-2 not the most comfortable. He's going to have to, yeah. Yellow's going to have some awkward rolls here. Is that right? Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's a 4. Kind of apologizing. 5-4. Okay. I mean, Ian has some defensive outs here now. Does he just bury it? There it goes. Ian has some awkward. So a 6 would be forced to come back to play from here. So a 6 and a low number would be great. Oh, baby. And now 5s are forced to be played from there. We are alive. We are alive. The 4 has to be played from one of these two. None of the other pieces can move 4. So does he play 4 to here and then leave a shot immediately, or play both safely for now, but then his next roll is very live to leave a shot, if not perhaps 2? I don't know what numbers would leave 2. 4, 3, 4, 1. I don't know. I don't know. But it's definitely getting ugly here for yellow in terms of inflexibility. And we can see actually there's someone in the Sam Pottle in the chat says this is what he's been saving his 10 minutes for on the clock. This might, okay. He's playing it now. Okay, 3 is enormous. 3. We got to find it. Got to find it. Hiya. And now yellow needs to roll a 6 to re-enter. Ian's still not out of the woods by any means, but if he can avoid seeing a 6 pop up for yellow, he is going to be a big favorite to close it out straight away. No 6s for yellow. No 6s. Don't do anything foolish. No 6s for yellow, and this is GG. 6-4, so a 6-1 would be actually not that bad because Ian would be shooting in another blot. No 6, please. Ian's a big favorite now. Ian's a huge favorite. Just get him in safely. 1-1. Play him safe. No bad rolls. And now a 6-1 or something actually kind of would be. And no double 6s. Ian's a huge favorite as long as there's no more contact, which there is very likely to not be. So no double 6s. No double 6s, and we are going to be looking at Ian being the last remaining person in this field with only one loss. And this is a battle of whoever can go the longest without getting down to 3 losses is the champion. So we could find ourselves here not too long from now with these two facing off again, where Bill would need to beat Ian in 2 separate matches before Ian beats him in 1. And that could be it. Okay, so let's see a low 5. That's a low 5. Okay, and I mean, that's going to be, Ian's going to navigate this bear off smoothly in all likelihood, and that's going to be that. As long as we don't see a real long string of big doubles here for yellow. Okay, I mean, it's not over yet. It's not over, but it's looking, I'm going to say Ian's at least 97% to win here. More than that. But I don't want to jinx it. Oh, when you waste a save. When there's a dice that's wrong, you have to re-roll both. A die that's wrong. Dice? I don't know why. That's the funniest thing in the history of reality TV to me. But there we go. Not really in the history of reality. And you have to roll on your side, by the way. Oh no. Don't do the jinx like this. Don't do the jinx like this. Double 6s for the jinx. Don't do it like this. He's not. The black is going to win this, but I feel like I'm jinxing him. There we go. There we go. He's off in 2 rolls. That's it. Handshakes. Ian moves. I mean, once again reestablishes himself. That was the battle between the last 2 guys who had only had 1 loss in this whole tournament. So now Ian goes to 9-1. Bill goes to 8-2, and these 2 guys both have 2 losses. So I believe the situation is between Matt and Victor here. I watched Ian beat Victor earlier. Victor I've known of for a long time, super strong player. Whoever wins this will remain alive in the championship field. I believe they then play against Bill, who we just watched Ian beat, and the winner of that then has to beat Ian twice for the championship before he beats them once. Unless there may be other people, but we'll find out. I'm going to end this video here, and I think Ian's going to have a break now, and I'll be back to follow up on whatever other matches he ends up playing, but drawing mighty live for the championship at this point. I don't know how many others only have 2 losses, but certainly a plenty fine time to be Ian Terry right now. Maybe I'll be able to figure out how to go live in between all of this and cover the rest in real time. But if not, I'll do it all and post it very shortly thereafter. All right. If anyone who made it to the end of this, thank you. I suppose like and subscribe. I'll be back with more Ian Terry Fan Club backgammon very soon. All right. See you then.